Good evening. How is everyone? Good? Excellent. Great to see you all on a beautiful Tuesday night. And as Matt says, my name is Nhan. I'm the founder of Advanced Property Strategies. And, I was thinking about, what I'm going to present tonight. And, my brief to myself was, make it fun, make it adventurous, and show you something different. Because, there's nothing wrong with doing subdivisions, doing renovations, building some houses, but I wanted to show you something cool and something different that you may have not seen before or even thought about. So that's good. Thanks for the audio. So just something I might mention a little bit later on in this evening. I'll give you the opportunity to go into the draw to win a couple of tickets to one of my upcoming events called the Advanced Property Conference, Saturday the 10th of February. As Matt says, I'm a professional property investor and developer. I'm also a trainer, and I help people make money through property in various ways. As I've helped Graham Jarry there, and every time I hear him speak, I feel like I need a box of tissues. But it's just so inspiring to help other people. You may have seen, it's good to see a few of the other veterans around here. Good old Leon Weber. Where's Leon? Here, Leon, and a few of the other guys around who've done my courses over the years and quit their jobs, doing property full time. Yeah, it's really inspirational. So tonight I'm going to be sharing with you a 2 into 5 lot subdivision plus a renovation. And for those of you who've heard me speak before, actually, who's heard me speak before? Yeah, cool. Who's been on one of the bus trips? Yeah, excellent. Great to see some familiar faces and some names as well, and great to see some new people. Actually, who are the newbies here tonight? Newbies? Yeah, beautiful, cool. Let's everyone acknowledge the newbies, hey? Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Yeah, and that's, when you're a newbie here, you may have been to some other meetups or some other free seminars and things like that, and you're really not sure what you're going to get yourself into. The beautiful thing about Matt events is they're purely about giving. The information is generous, and the intention is to educate and share. So my real deal, 2 into 5 lot subdivision. But to give you a bit of a prelude on how it came to be, I wanted to give you a bit of a backlog, right? So before we start today's story, some of you when you're out there going to open homes or you're on realestate.com.au might be thinking some of these things. Who's thought at one stage like, there's no good deals out there? Who thinks, yeah, cool. Or you may have thought of everything is overpriced and too expensive at times. Yeah, cool, excellent, thank you. And this is the last one. The Chinese are driving the prices up. Who thinks that? Yeah, they absolutely are. But, and that's the thing, last year in the Australian Financial Review, I read the paper and it said that 1 out of 4 property purchases was from a Chinese investor. 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5. Either way, that's a lot, right? That's a lot. But here's the thing, is that the tide is changing. And it's not because they don't want to buy in Australia. They absolutely do. It's because they just can't get the money out, right? Just can't get the money out. So it's an economical thing. Also, the currency changes as well, make it hard as well. So, that is definitely changing. Like I was talking to Jesse before, Jesse Seguira, there is that, the market is very, very temperamental at the moment. In 2013, the Brisbane market changed significantly. It changed from dead in 2009, 10, 11, 12 to going into a buoyant market, and 13, 14, 15, 16 was quite strong, and 17 is quite stable, but this year it is quite temperamental. It doesn't mean that prices are going down, it just means that buyers' finance is quite hard to get from a buyer's point of view, and also if you're a developer, getting pre-sales is very important, and commercial finance can be difficult as well. But having said that, there's still a lot of money to be made, and it doesn't mean I'm backing down. I'm actually jumping further into the game, because it means that with the financial resources I've got, I'm able to dig deep and play the game. So anyway, one of the key strategies that I like to use or employ is what we call a free block of land. And some of you might have heard of that before. We talk more about that at our Advanced Property Conference, but the free block of land concept is very, very simple. Is you keep the existing house and you either cut off the backyard and sell that, or you keep the house and cut off some land, free land that's sitting around without having to knock down the house or remove the house or lift the house or slide the house. So pretty straightforward. You'll hear some of my cliches that start to incorporate into the property environment. One of the phrases, you make your money when you buy, not when you sell. Yeah, looking for a free block of land. Other sayings you may have heard me plant the seeds and people take up on that is getting in, getting out, getting paid. Right, getting in, getting out, getting paid. So another one, this is not mine. I can't say I've made up this one, but there's a saying, it goes, seek and you will find, right? Also the other one is ask and you will receive. You guys are pretty good. It's right, we do Bible studies later, or? So that's right, Matt will have a collection plate going around. So Anyway, yeah, here's the thing, because as the market changes, you've got to do something different, right? If nothing changes, nothing will change, right? So if everybody's out there, every mum and dad, every Tom, Dick and Harry's looking for a splitter block, right? Then the market's going to drive them up, right? And I know a few of here bought a few splitter blocks, haven't we, Jesse? Yeah, sometimes well priced, sometimes paid too much. It's all right. A bit of salt there for you. But the thing is, to do things different, to get a different result, you have to do things differently, right? And so, oftentimes, you've got to look at what your assumptions are, right? There's a saying, to assume is to, have you heard this saying? Yeah, to make an ass out of you and me. To assume is to make an ass out of you and me. So I started looking at some of my assumptions. What were some of the assumptions in the marketplace? I've been doing land subdivisions, I've been doing townhouses, and I started looking at some of my assumptions, and I assumed that if something was zoned townhouse, LMR, low medium residential, I just assumed that you had to do units and townhouses, and that was it. So every time to look at properties, let's say out at Acacia Ridge, I did a few out there, it had to be a townhouse project because that's what it was zoned for, right? So I started to look at my assumptions. And what I'm going to share with you tonight is not necessarily what I'm saying is the right way to do it. I just want to challenge you on a few of the assumptions or the way that you're looking at things. Yeah. So here's the thing: is units and townhouses don't always equal profit, because I started to look, because people were buying stuff in some of these suburbs, Zilmere even, they're looking at some of these suburbs zoned LMR, and the prices they were paying were just astronomical, not congruent with the construction prices going up as well. Paying 600 grand for a 600 square metre size is rubbish, absolute rubbish, right? So what do you do? What do you do? So the prelude to that is this little deal. So I started looking around at a few of the LMR sites, and I started looking for something different. This is out on the west side. Due to confidentiality reasons, I can't tell you where it is, but it's 15 k's out or so, west side, housing commission area, you probably figure it out. 562 square metres at LMR. The other assumption I used to go by was that you needed about 600 square metres to make an LMR site work. That's like a textbook rule, right? But as I spoke to more and more town planners, they told me, no, that's not the case. So I'm going, geez, I've had this belief which was completely inaccurate, right? So I found this site, and I actually got it off an owner direct. I got it off a letter, got an owner direct, and I bought it, and actually we offered the guy $275,000. Okay, so still within Brisbane City Council. Right, zone LMR 562. I offered him $275. He wanted $325. We ended up settling on $300,000. So you just look at the plain numbers: 562 square metres, LMR 3, which means that you can go to 3-storey units and townhouses, right? And that's what it looked like, right? It was pretty boring, actually. It was pretty boring. Pretty ugly house, but I could smell the money, right? I could smell the money. I couldn't see it, right? I was like a little rat. I could smell the money, right? For $300,000, 560 odd square metres, zone LMR, I could smell the money. I couldn't see it, but I could smell it. Do you think that's pretty cheap, right? $300,000, yeah? One of my previous deals, I paid over $300,000 in contributions, right? So I couldn't figure out, but this red arrow, and it's not because of the mango tree, that's not where the money is, right? The money is in what we call the free block of land, because I made a discovery. And my discovery was that through the low to medium residential code, it allows you to do subdivisions that are smaller than normal low density residential. So I know for some of you might be beginners in here. Just so I know who's a beginner in here. Yeah, cool, excellent, cool. So I apologise if some of the jargon's going over the top of you, and I don't want to be patronising in that way. But in summary, low medium residential generally allows you to do units and townhouses, and my discovery was that I was able to do smaller subdivisions. Normally, in low-density residential, you're limited to 400 square metres, which is typical of a splitter with road frontage. And if you've got a rear lot, which requires a driveway access to the rear, you need about 600 square metres. So really, a 1:2, if it's front and back, you need about 1,000 square metres. Or if it's side by side, you need about 800 square metres. Yeah. So here, I was looking at a block less than 600 square metres. Yeah. And for most people, they'd go, oh, demo job, yeah? So in the code, I figured out, through the help of Chris, one of my clients, that in this code, low to medium residential number 3, you can subdivide it down to 180 square metres, which is less than half of a typical 400 square metre block, right? Less than half 400 square metre block. So who's sitting there thinking, geez, who in their right mind would subdivide down to 180? Who think that's pretty crazy? Yeah? Cool. Awesome. Excellent. Great. I like it. So I should get a number plate. Crazy. Yeah? So here, though, I'd won the lotto. For someone who's crazy, I'd won the lotto. Why? Because I was able to subdivide off that backyard. All right? So in what Graham was talking about earlier tonight, there's a program called Smart. It's a Brisbane City Council town planning application, and it goes through really quick, somewhere between 2 weeks and 2 months, maybe 12 weeks max. But in this one instance here, because it was actually textbook, I was able to subdivide, or get an approval to subdivide that off in 10 days. I put it in, I think, early December, and then it came out in before Christmas, 10 days, right, through RiskSmart. So 184 square metres, right? So that's the beginning of the crazy journey. And then, okay, as a mad scientist, what do I do next, right? So then I sold the house, renovated the house, sold it. Sold it for 305. Bought the whole thing for 300, sold for 305. I'm ahead already, yeah? So I thought, you know what, it's not that difficult, but the difficult part's going to be selling the land. So let's play. Put it on the market for 199,000, and in my mind I thought, I'm just going to keep dropping the price until someone says yes, yeah? And worst case scenario, I keep it and, I don't know, park my car, my boat on it, I don't know. Fence it up, yeah? Probably not sure if it'd fit, actually. Boat's pretty long. But yeah, so in the end, I got a buyer for the land. $175,000 on 184 square metres. So for those who are mathematicians, you divide that through, it's about $951 a square metre. Why is that relevant? If you go to Cooper's Plains, a 400 square metre block sells for $400,000. Right, that's about 10 k's out. I remember in Bulimba in 2006, we were buying 800 square metre blocks for $660. Right, these days, Leon can tell me, what's a square metre rate Bulimba these days? 2,000? 2.5, yeah? So this one here, in a housing commission area, 15 k's out, I was getting $1,000 a metre, right? So I thought I'd won the lottery. So what I didn't tell you, it was facing the train line. So not only was it small, it had train line noise. Yeah. In the end, the buyer, her name was Katie, she ended up building that on it. Right. If you've seen any of the television shows called Tiny Homes, this was her dream, a tiny home. When we sat down, she was so excited that she was going to build this 30 square metre cabin on it. I'm going, okay, whatever you want, love, just sign the contract, yeah? And the reason she was excited was for 175 grand for the land and 90 grand for the build, 265 plus the 20 grand first homeowner's grant, she was well ahead, right? So, I was really, really pleased for her because I really wasn't sure, it's one of those things to be a developer and, subdivide land, but effectively you are responsible for certain things. You're responsible for what people do, how people place their driveways, and as much as you can't control them, you do have certain impacts on people. So I thought, okay, she's a really, really happy customer, and she's moved in, and she's absolutely in love with the place, and good on her. So basically my conclusion was that there was a market for small lots less than 200 square metres. And my encouragement to you is that, don't try this at home. If you want to give it a go, go for your life, but I'm not taking any responsibility for if your block doesn't sell, okay? Because if you're asking for too much money. Because there are a few other tiny tuning points in there that make it pivotal on how you can sell the block. So that was the precursor story to my actual 2 to 5 subdivision. Yeah? So I wanted to just give you that bit of pre-frame and where I'd gotten to before this point. So this was April last year. This is the view up at Curramundi Lake. Is anyone familiar with Curramundi? Yeah? Yeah, it's one of those beautiful places that is north of Caloundra. And not many people know about it, and that's what I like. Yeah, everyone's heard of Caloundra, Shelley Beach, Dicky Beach, Maroochydore, Mooloolaba, but Currimundi, probably after tonight, it'll change. But in Currimundi, I think there's only 3 high-rise buildings, right? 3 high-rise buildings, and every Easter, generally we book, an apartment level 5 or above. This coming year, we've got the penthouse for about a week, and this is my view from there, right? The thing I love about it is you've got the lake, which is probably only a foot deep. We've got kids, they love the water, and then the ocean right there, right? So in April last year, I was on holidays, right? And I've got a property researcher, and I gave him my wife's number. I said to him, mate, only text my wife if there's an emergency. So what happens, first day, I'm on holidays, I'm sitting there, laptop's off, no phone, everything, and then my wife says, honey, you've got a message from your property researcher. I'm going, okay, what's going on now? The message says, and the guy's name's Paul. Paul says, Nhan, this is quite important. You need to read this, okay? And it says, hi, Paul. We caught up a couple of months ago. We're ready to sell our house now. If you want to buy it, you need to let us know today, okay? So I'm going, mate, I just turned up on my holidays, unhitched my boat, about to get a tan, and I've got to get back into the office, right? So I was happy, but not happy at the same time, right? So this is what the deal looked like. So 1,000 square metres in the same suburb, 2 streets away from the other deal, 2 streets away. Graham talks about being an area expert. That's pivotal, right? Because when a deal comes up, you need to know within 3 minutes if it's a deal or not. Any longer, you're going to miss out. Guys like me or Graham are going to sign a contract, take it off the market, game's gone, right? So I called the lady back. Her name was Erica. We'd spoken to her in February, and we had a meeting with her in February inside the house. And, my property researcher and myself, we'd done all the research, the dial before you digs, which determines where the pipes are, the services. We talked to the town planner, so we had it ready to go. And I was quite upset, actually, when we met in February, had a meeting with her, and I had the contracts ready to go. We were going to offer, I think, 450, 480, ready to sign a contract, done. But she wasn't quite ready to sell yet. So all I said to her when we finished that meeting in February was I said, look, all I want for you, Erica, is just to have the first phone call. Yeah? If you could just do me a favour, before you list it with an agent, just call me first. Right? And sometimes you get what you ask for. I got the first opportunity, and it was this. So we call it Welcome to the Jungle. So what do you notice about it? It's got a lot of trees, yeah? A lot of trees, yeah? So coming back to the free block of land, you can probably figure out what I'm going to do with this, right, is I'm going to subdivide it into keep the house and do a subdivision, all right? So this is what it looked like from the street, right? One house, yeah? There's one house with all these trees on it, and it just looked like an absolute jungle. So you couldn't really tell what the house was like. And so if anybody was going to come look at the house, you go, well, what house? You can't see the house, yeah? At the time, the park across the road looked like this. And I really didn't pay attention. All I saw was the construction fences. And I didn't really pay attention. I thought, yeah, okay, whoever, whatever, let's see how we go here. But that turned out to be one of the best things about the deal, because the council had just knocked down the previous playground and they turned it into this, right? And this is literally across the road. So my site is here, right, and it's across the road, right? So my original plan that I came up with, free block of land, right, by default, was to subdivide into this, right? 1,062 square metres into roughly 300 square metres, 300 square metres, and the house in the middle, roughly on 350 square metres. So pretty logical stuff, right, and pretty plain vanilla. But I wasn't satisfied with that, I did the maths, did the fees. I was about an $80,000, $90,000 profit, maybe 15%. I'm on holidays, I don't really need the money, going fishing, doing this deal, is it, what's more important to me right now, yeah? So I thought, okay, if it's going to make it worth my while, I'll do it, otherwise someone else can have it, there's going to be another deal come through. Anyway, I thought, okay, how can we make this better? And I started to do what we call Tetris, right? Tetris. So I started to figure out, can I fit more on this block? If we're going to push it, we might as well push it right to the extreme. And just recently finished another block, 180 square metre block. Let's see if it works, right? So this is what we came up with. We came with 2 blocks up there and 2 at the front here, but it had to wrap around the house. And I didn't really like that block, wrapping around the house, but I spoke to the town planner. He said, yeah, no worries, we'll get it through. We'll get it through Rismart, no worries. Rismart, last one was 10 days, no worries. It's April, we'll get it through pretty much by the end of May. We'll be out, done by Christmas, you know, drinking the scotch or vodka, whatever you're into, yeah? So life's good. But things don't always go to plan, yeah? That little black, so that red arrow there points to one of my pressure points, yeah? Pressure points where the council did not like, in no uncertain terms, this dog leg. He said, no, no chance whatsoever, we're not taking this dog leg. But my town planner had said, mate, it's Rismart. So I'm going, mate, what's going on? What's going on, right? Bit of doubt there, don't you know what you're talking about? How can I trust your judgment? But I just let it go, you know. So, in summary, the final plan looked like this. We ended up cutting those 2 blocks off, which is cool, and we had to cut off a corner of the house to end up getting that line through because it came down to the centimetre. One thing that you may or may not be familiar with is when you do a subdivision and you allocate land, you know, like 600 square metres, it actually rounds up. So if you're 599.5 square metres, it rounds up to 600 square metres. So here, I was really, really scrounging for every square metre. So I said to my surveyor, mate, I want those 2 blocks to be 177.5, right? And then you know what? The council picked it up. The council picked it up because on here we had 180, but they said we want to the first decimal point how big your blocks are, right? So we tried to squeeze that extra half a metre out of it and the council was not having a bar of it, right? Anyway, so that was that little bit there. And why I've written here, plus demo the Renault, was because there was a garage underneath there that my brother and my dad had really a lot of enthusiasm. They said, Nhan, how about we build this in? Right, and I have a lot of respect for my dad and my brother. My original idea was not to do that, but they said, yep, let's do it, fine, go for it. And then I had to ring them up. I said, you know that extra part that you just built in, you're going to have to knock it down. So that's a site without the trees, and we still had that sunroom. So before you couldn't even see the house. Right, it's a quite substantial house, 3 bed, 1 bath. No car anymore, we've got 2-car carport, and we end up having to knock down this part that my brother and my dad had built in under here. Yeah? So, yes, I am a professional, but I'm also a professional demolition as well. No, I'm joking. Yeah, so we end up knocking that down and giving that little area there in order to get that 5th block. Right. And that's very critical, especially, you know, when you're doing deals, that extra 1 block can make the difference between 15% and 23%. Yeah. I remember the last one I did 13 lotter. You know, I was determined to get the 13 lots. We're negotiating with council, with the stormwater bioretention and all that, and, you know, the guys were saying, mate, you're going to get 12. I said, no, we're going to work on 13 lots, and I spent, I reckon, 40 hours just on the layout plan to get that extra lot. And it's probably worth an extra 230 grand revenue for me, probably worth about 150k net, right? So, you know, sometimes you've got to know where to spend your time. Yeah. So what are the good points about the site? So the sale of the previous land on that 1:2, 184 square metres was absolutely perfect, right? So it allowed me to make 200k on this deal versus 90. Yeah, that extra twist, 180 square metre block, allowed it to give a whole stack more revenue without a whole lot more extra stress and pressure. Beautiful thing about it was flat blocks. You know, if you can get a flat block, that's definitely my suggestion there. Not absolutely flat, because too flat is no good either. You want a little bit of fill, so fall to the front ideally. So a metre of fall. There's a corner block, you know, if anything I can, you know, share with you is if you can do 2 street frontage, 3 street frontage, even 4 street frontage. So I've seen one of those before, Palm Square. Leon probably knows about that one, over at Morningside. It's very rare, 4 street frontage there, but the more frontage you have, the more access you have and less roads you have to construct, which means less cost, which means more profit, really. Yeah. So brand new park built across the road, substantial brick house, timber floors were amazing. Easy demo, just cleared the trees. Yeah. So there were a lot of them. And so I gave these slides to Matt on Friday, Boxing Day, right? And we've had 2 more offers on the house since. So, you know, we're doing the Renault, doing this land subdivision. The house wasn't quite ready. You know, there was rubbish all over the place from the land subdivision guys. And so, yeah, the agent said, Nhan, let's just put it on the market. Let's just see what happens. 18th of December, put it on the market, see how it goes. And we had, I think, the first few weeks, had 2 offers, 3 offers, and yeah, all up, we've had 6 offers on the house. And it's only the 29th or 30th of January, which is quite amazing for the block being less than 400 square metres. But I do believe that being a big house opposite a park has made a huge difference. So, but there were challenges along the way. You know, the town planner said risk smart. Nope. House Renault, then demo. We were very clever. Got a bit ahead of ourselves. Plan change. The dogleg part was no good. Next one was the plan was so tight it was down to the last centimetre. Yeah. And then the council picked up that lot was 179.55 square metres front lots, and they wanted 180.0. So the plan had to be redone again. So, the existing footpath. So council are on a bloody warpath at the moment. If you're doing a subdivision, just allocate a budget for a 1.8 metre wide footpath, not 1.2, 1.8. They've increased it to. It is very, very silly. You know, it will not match any of the previous footpaths, but we had an existing footpath, and because the Telstra wasn't under there, we had to put it under there. We had to dig it up, put the Telstra in, and then back down again. So, what do? Yeah. Yeah, we had 4 contracts crash so far, but the other challenge with the land is that people want to buy them, but finance has been hard. You know, mortgage insurers are finding it hard to get their head around it because there aren't a lot of pre-sales. I've got that one pre-sale around the corner, but they're not really liking that. So I'm hoping after these 4 settle, there's going to be a lot more precedents for future sales. So 2 relaxations denied. So yeah, we asked for relaxation on the water, so not have to extend the water main. That got denied, lost a month. And then we wanted to move the NBN alignment on the footpath. That was denied as well, so we lost another month. So 2 months delay because we wanted some relaxations. Another challenge we had was the NBN guy started early, right? So he was really keen. He started early, but the thing was the sewer and water, in this instance, was underneath, had to go underneath the NBN. So the guy had laid his cables, and then a week later, they were dug up again, right? And so NBN come to audit it and say, fail. You've got to fix this system, another $3,000 because of his enthusiasm. Right? So sometimes you can try to be too organised, yeah? But $3,000. Oh yeah, so the council conditions to install 2 extra driveways. That's one of the other things that council are doing is they want to dictate where some of the driveways are going as well. So especially if you're near a corner and the distance away from the corner, they really want that. So just give you some numbers, right? So I got it for $535. Renault was about 20 grand. Development costs. So those development costs are including contributions, sewer, stormwater, NBN, surveyor, everything. Stamp duty, holding costs, anything you think of. You know, beer for gym. Then you've got projected land sales, 4 lots at roughly 185 each. So we sold 1 lot at 195, 1 at 180, another expression of interest 179, and another expression of interest 190. So you're roughly between 180, 190, I'll call 185 there each, and then projected house sale 375 there. So we've actually got a contract for a little bit under that. That's okay. Projected sales call at 1.1. So profit around about 200k there. Yeah. So the thing I wanted to show you there is that, you know, it's a 23% return on a small entry-level deal. Now, oftentimes people think you've got to spend $2 million to a monster deal to get 23%. Well, you don't. Sometimes the bigger deals are even harder because their expenses are proportionately a lot higher. Right? But I wanted to show you, and show a lot of my students, how you can do it, you know, with a small budget, you know, sub $1 million and still make 200k on the side, you know, while still going on holidays. Right? So just some final pictures before we finish up. So that's a house there. We've got a gravel driveway, cheap alternative option. You know, we're selling the house in the sub 400k market. You know, next time I probably would have gone a concrete driveway, but you know, that's what we chose inside at the time. Double carport there, pretty big, and that's what the blocks look like in terms of marketing. Right. So there has been a slight change, but just gives you a good idea there. Cool. So what do you think? Pretty cool? Yeah? Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So yeah, we just time for a couple of questions, and then
Sure,
we'll go into the opportunity to come to one of my events.
All right, cool. Karen?
No, with the zoning of the LMR3,
Yes.
on the 180 square metre, does that mean they can build a 3-storey house?
Yes, they can. Right. Yes. Yeah, that's the crazy thing about it. On 180 square metres, they can go 3-storey. I've got one guy who's doing a removal home, and yeah, if I get it right, he'll put it on stumps and get it legal height. I don't think he's going to go 3-storey, but he can. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, and look, to be honest with you, I've heard some feedback from the council is that I think they made that ruling, but now that it's been rolled out, they don't actually like it. So we'll see. Maybe in 5 years' time, maybe they'll reverse it. I don't know, because when you're doing townhouses, they can condition more things in. When you're doing land subdivision, it's freehold, so it's just 1 metre front, 1 metre side, 1 metre side, front and back, and it's hell for leather, right? Whereas multi-unit, they're a lot more conditioned on what you can and can't do. Whereas, like you said, 3-storey house on 180 square metres, that's pretty wild. Yeah. So, but it's not going. If someone does it, good luck to them. But I'll be gone by then, and they can do whatever they want.
Any other questions? Yeah, Peter.
Good day, Nhan. Thanks very much.
Cheers,
just a question about the trees. Did you have a problem with the trees at all?
No, they all fell down pretty easily. So no, good question. So we have a policy in our business, and first policy is my dad has a very big chainsaw, and it's tax deductible. And what we generally do is we have a half-hour policy. It means that half an hour after we settle, we just go hell for leather on the site. Right? Firstly, we make sure there's no environmental protection. So from the beginning, I don't generally buy sites with VPOs, vegetation protection orders. So it's an overlay. You go online, you can find it, and it'll be green all over it. And if it's green, it's not something I want to work with. Otherwise, half an hour after settlement, the big ones, come down pretty quickly. So we settled one on Monday last week, I think over a hectare, and we settled by 2:30. I was a bit late off the mark, and by 4:30 we'd started, and so half of them went down by about 6 o'clock, and then the other half were done on Saturday. So some just silky oaks and mangoes, and and we had ecological report done on it, and they said there was nothing that was worth keeping. Limited ecological value. There was some macadamia there, but they were planted as opposed to wild. So that's my take on it. And if you're a developer, that's just one of the things you got to do. One of my keen things to do down the track is buy a big block at Wivenhoe and just plant as many trees as I can. But in the meantime, it always comes back. It's karma, mate. It's karma. So I've got this. With that big site, there's a rehabilitation plan. I can just see it now. They're just going to go smash it out. Every 1 square metre is going to be a tree, and I think we've got 2,000 metres. So you do the maths, probably 2,000 trees. So take my shovel and I dig, right? No. Cool.
Well, one more question before we go.
Graham, you answered all the questions for them, mate. You haven't left anything for me, mate. I didn't make them cry.
I've got one more up the back.
Here's a warm-up.
Just out of curiosity, I just wanted to know what council that was in.
Brisbane City Council, yeah. Brisbane City Council. And look, all my deals I generally do, majority of my deals, let's say that, majority of my deals I'll do in the Brisbane City Council. Why? It's because I believe in being an area expert. Does it mean they're the best council? No, not really. It's just I tend to focus there. I know the rules. I've got good town planners who understand the rules. I was thinking today about Harry Triggerboff, right? Top 2-3 richest people in Australia. He develops 55,000 apartments in his lifetime, over 60,000. Keeps about 2,000-3,000 apartments at any one time. Gold Coast, 3 locations only. Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sydney. That's it. He could go to Melbourne, he refuses. He could go to Perth, he refuses. Gold Coast, Brisbane, Melbourne. For me, if I could do a third of what he does, I'm happy with that. His model is high rises, and he just sticks with his model. So it doesn't mean you can't do deals in Logan or in Ipswich. You look at Maha Sinnathamby, he's a billionaire. he's made his own city through Ipswich and partnering them. So, yeah, everyone's got their niche, and you just got to find your niche and stick to it.